Greetings on a chilly October day. Today we're going to talk about an album that came out just barely, just last week. It is Brandi Carlile's Returning to Myself. And before I kind of launch in talking about my first impressions of this album, I just want to preface this by saying that I am a Brandi Carlile fan. I really like her work, and we are going to do a discography ranking episode a little bit later on. So be watching out for that. And the other thing I'll say about the discography ranking episode is that my rating of this album might change between now and then with further listenings. Because one thing I found out with Brandi Carlile is the more I listen to it, the more my impression of it might shift. That's definitely what happened with the last album. So, having said that, let's talk a little about Returning to Myself. It is, how do I put it? I would say it's a very meditative album. There's not as much of the Hanseroth twins on this album. If you're a fan of their work, definitely check out their solo album that came out last year. But this is a really good album. It has some really great songs on it. And, when I talk about how I rate things, a big portion of the rating comes from the points from notable songs. As of this point, I've listened to the album about 5.5 times. And where I feel it sits with notable songs for Brandi Carlile's discography is about 7 out of 10. There's a few numbers that, although I might like them lyrically, I don't feel like that they pop quite as much as the other stuff. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that I don't feel as strongly about them. So having said that, if I'm looking at the track list right now, I think my favorite on this whole album, oh my goodness, there's some really good ones. It might be No One Knows Us, or it could be Human, and it could be Returning to Myself. But I'm thinking I'm leaning towards No One Knows Us for now. So if I'm picking one out of this, it might be No One Knows Us, which you might find that a weird pick. I don't know. But there's some wonderful content on this album. As always, Brandi Carlile is a master of lyrics. If you're a person who is a lyric person when it comes to music, well, you're not going to miss out with Brandi Carlile pretty much ever. So most of the songs are relatively mid-tempo. There's a couple songs that bring in some strings and almost choir-esque elements to them. And actually, a couple of those are not necessarily my favorite songs on this album. Some people might feel the missingness of the Hanseroths. Now, they do appear in some capacities on a few songs. But I think that this album is good regardless. I think that I was a little skeptical about how the song Joni was going to go. But the way she talks about this person who's become such a huge influence and mentor in her life is really quite beautiful. And I think everybody needs a wild woman like Joni Mitchell in your life. So hopefully we can all find those people who can, have a picnic on the grave and show us, where we need to go in our own lives and allow us that reflection space. So, and just the meditativeness of returning to myself, it's just a marvelous sentiment because sometimes that's one of the hardest things that we can possibly do is return to ourselves. So let's talk about how I would rate this album as of now. Like I said, might change by the discography ranking episode. I would give this album an 8 out of 10. It's hard to give Brandi anything much lower. Just amazing songwriter. As far as notable tracks, like I said earlier, probably 7 out of the 10 tracks for me right now, subject to possibly change. That means that this pushes past the threshold to get the full bonus points on this album for me. So 7 plus 3, that gives us 10 plus 8. This is an 18 as far as that goes. So real strong album, I would say. If you're new to Brandi Carlile, great place to start. If you're not new, great place to continue. There's nothing to be disappointed about here, I think. So anyway, 8 out of 10 for now. And like I said, might change a little later on when we do the ranking. Hopefully sometime next month. So stay tuned. More content to come. Please subscribe if you haven't and you want to continue watching these videos pop up for you. And if you want to support the channel, there are ways to do so. So thank you so much for listening, and can't wait to show you the next thing that we come up with here.